UFC Noche. What do I think about the fight venue, and the event itself? If we were to take the fighters out of it, Sean O'Malley, Marab, all the Mexican fighters, good and bad, cans and rising stars that the UFC have picked from all corners of the fight roster to be on this card. If we were to take all those guys, you know, disregard them and look at the venue and the event itself, what do I think? And I don't want to make this video because I've seen so many other MMA content creators be up in arms and in absolute rage about the quality of this event and where this event is taking place, what it means for the sport, all this shit. I mean, first off, I will take into account the roster, and I will say that it is a little bit, I don't want to say I guess I would say unfair, because I feel like they could have put a lot of other much more entertaining fights on here without I don't want to say like a national or a cultural bias towards Mexicans. I understand, it's Noche, it's supposed to be Mexican themed, and that's why there's a lot of Mexicans on the roster. But I feel like, because it's at the Sphere, I feel like the Sphere could definitely be utilized for a certain amount of more entertaining fights that they could have made and put together and booked for this event. But again, you gotta adhere to the theme, so that's why they did it that way. The Sphere itself is amazing. It looks fucking beautiful, really cool. I mean, you got that big old wall, and it's supposed to be like an entire fucking screen, and then you have the actual event taken down, the actual event is fucking going down, way down below. I mean, it looks really cool. I definitely would rather watch it from home, even if I had the opportunity to be in there in person. I feel like it's, more of a movie theater vibe than an actual, fighting event. But it's still cool. I feel like, the graphics and all that shit's going to make it really look surreal. So I think that idea is really cool. I don't think it's going to happen again for some time because, there's all these other events that want to be booked for the Sphere and everything. So I think it's cool that the UFC got the opportunity to put this on there. But, one thing that I had a problem with is Dana White's hinting at this whole, his plan. And one of the things in his plan is he wants to make this event like a movie. He mentioned putting on mini movies in between fights, all this theatric stuff. He's going to talk about the history of Mexico, how Mexicans got their independence. He said Canelo will be in there too. All these Mexican fighters, a lot of Mexican. I guess it's like a movie that is basically like this homage, this love letter to Mexico that's going to be put up on the screen. And I guess each part will be running in between the fights and all this other stuff. I mean, look, I have much respect for Mexico, and I would be this way about any other country if any other country was, put on as the theme to even America. The fight game needs to stay about the fight game. It needs to be about the fight game. And what I love about MMA and the UFC, and why I've become such a big fan of them instead of boxing, because I still watch boxing, but I'm not a big boxing fan. I'm not a big boxing fan because of the theatrics of it. It's lost its touch, and it's lost its base, which is fighting, not acting, not comedy, not drama. It's fighting. Drama is great for the sport. Trust me, drama is great for fights. Drama builds fights, but at the end of the day, it's a fight. It's not a movie. It's not a TV show. It's a fight. Two men are going to make a walk into an octagon or a ring or a cage or what have you, and they're going to beat each other bloody. It's a fun event. I feel like it's very primal. It lights a fire inside of certain people, and it's fun to watch. But what makes it less fun is padding it with all these other things around it, and infomercials and movies and themes and dances and plays and musicals and all this other shit that just ruins it, man. And the fight where I got the first taste of this, or I got the fight where this whole idea of the fight game losing its base. This whole thought and idea came to me when I was watching Fury versus Ngannou. The Fury versus Ngannou fight was amazing. I really loved it. One of the best boxing fights I've seen so far. But what I hated about that card and about that fight was the build-up. I waited on stream because I was streaming the fight. I waited. I was streaming my reaction to the fight on TikTok. I waited and waited and waited and waited a full hour while I think nothing was happening, but they were like had these different angles of the fucking ring, and I think they had a couple songs, and they had a rapper come on stage, and they had a dance number. They had all these dancers come on stage with ribbons and shit. It was stupid. It was so stupid and boring, and I hated it. I'm sitting there watching. I'm waiting for a fight. I'm waiting for a fight between two legends of the fight game, and I'm waiting there watching in the corner of the screen a little mini countdown, stupid ass monitor, and what takes up most of the screen is a bunch of these Broadway dancers with ribbons dancing to nightclub music, and it pissed me off because I'm sitting there and I'm twiddling my thumbs while watching something I have no interest in for 50 minutes that has nothing to do with boxing. And that's what I fear. Almost every day I fear that the UFC is following boxing's tracks. It's becoming more like boxing, and that's what I really don't want to happen. The UFC is special, it's fun, and I feel like it has something that's gonna one day, push it to be more successful than boxing. Because I feel like boxing, on the other hand, is losing its shine. It's losing its grip on, the national audience or the worldwide audience. Don't get me wrong. I think people will love boxing forever, but the UFC it is like it's more fun, and it's slowly like enlightening people towards MMA and how much more fun it is than boxing, and how the possibilities of knocking out your opponent are endless, and the grappling and the striking. You could do whatever fighting style in there. I understand there's still rules, but so many fighting styles can be adapted to, and reworked and evolved in the octagon. It's really beautiful, and that's what I feel like makes the UFC and MMA so special. And the Sphere doesn't necessarily worry me about the UFC or MMA in general becoming more like boxing, but it does kind of like remind me of my initial fear, of my little theory that was concocted while I was watching Ngannou Fury, or at least the boring ass build up to Ngannou Fury. So, I mean, UFC Noche, don't get me wrong, I feel like it's going to be great. I don't really love it, but I don't hate it as much as all these MMA content creators hate it. I don't hate it. I'm excited for it, and not just because Marab is fighting O'Malley, which is a fight that I love and really look forward to seeing, but because of the venue. The venue looks amazing. I feel like the Noche theme is great, but I, however, still disagree with how far they've driven it. I don't think the UFC necessarily needs to put a whole entire movie together to play in between fights. I feel like, the most they could have done is really just like in decoration of the venue, walkout songs, Little things like that. You don't need to put on, like mini plays and dance numbers and all this other shit to make the fights boring, or the not the fights, but to make the build up to these fights boring. Just still aim to do what you've been doing for so long now. Put on fights, center yourself around the fights, promote the fights. You know, focus on the fights, the quality of the fights. That's what everybody wants to see, and that's what should be prioritized, and that's what's going to make MMA one day more popular than boxing. Because although people may think MMA is more popular than boxing, boxing is still making a lot more money. But at the same time, I have said it is dying. I think it is dying. Anyway, in general, that's my little rant about UFC Noche and the future of MMA and boxing. Let me know what y'all think in the fucking comments.